Welcome back to Parashah Popsicles. This is our 10th edition. If you can believe it, we've been at it all summer and we are so glad that you are still tuning in. So this week we find ourselves at Parashat Eikev, which comes to us from Deuteronomy, begins with chapter 7, but today we are going to study chapter 8. And the verse reads at the beginning of chapter 8, Kol ha-mitzvah, you shall observe each and every mitzvah, each and every commandment. One commentator reads those words, Kol ha-mitzvah, not as every mitzvah, but the whole complete mitzvah. So, meaning, once you begin to fulfill a commandment, you must complete what you have started. And the next verse says, remember the long way that God has made you travel in the wilderness. God has tested you there with many hard things. I'd like to think that God doesn't test us in order to make us suffer, but rather God tests us in order to teach us something. For when you work hard at something, you are reminded of how important it is. When you work hard at something, it becomes meaningful. Hard work also makes us stronger, and it shapes us into resilient people. For when something comes easy, we don't really learn anything from it, and often it isn't so important to us. So you know what also reminds me of this lesson is the fruit. Which fruit? The beautiful cherry. That's right. So I learned something when I was researching the cherry. The cherry is fragile and it takes hard work in order to grow a strong cherry tree. And the cherry tree only blooms once per year, and it blooms for a very, very short time. And then the fruit comes. And when the fruit of a cherry tree comes, it's considered in some cultures to be so precious. And it reminds us of the hard work we put into something and how precious the reward can be.
I have no more cherries.
That means you did a good job. So Ella and Oren here, my sous chefs, are doing two very important things to these cherries because we are going to make cherry limeade ice popsicles. So Oren was helping me take all of the stems off the cherry, and then he was passing the cherry over to Ella. Let's show them what you're using. Hold it up. What is this?
I don't know.
Can you tell us how you're using it?
So
This is a cherry pitter because we know
pop
that cherry...
the cherry in, and I make sure that the stem part, where the stem was, is at the top, at the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then what is my next job gonna be?
Just a minute.
I carefully push it down
And where does the pit go?
in the bowl,
In
and
the
then
bowl.
I take it out and put it in this pile.
Beautiful. So we have about 2 cups of fresh cherries. If you don't have one of these handy dandy cherry pitters here,
You can just bite it and take it out.
you could eat half the cherry and then put the other half into the bowl. You could also cut them open, or you can actually buy frozen cherries. Work really well. They may not be as tart and as sweet, but still delicious. There's one more thing you notice. There's a lot of red juice
What are we gonna do
that
with
comes
this?
from these cherries, so be careful if you're going to get into the business of pitting. These popsicles are very easy. Once you have all the cherries pitted, they just have to go into the blender. So I'm going to do that while Ella finishes pitting these cherries. We're going to place these cherries into the blender. And I'm going to pour a few teaspoons of sugar onto the cherries, let it soak for a little while to bring out that extra sweetness. You can use honey if you want. And I have the juice of 1 lime that I'm also going to squeeze.
Squeeze it in.
So after 2 cups of cherries, a few teaspoons of sugar, the juice of 1 lime, we're going to pour in a cup of water. And after that, we will let the blender do its work.
blend it.
That's what we're gonna do. See what happens. What a beautiful color it has made. We are just going to pour them into the popsicle molds. Put the tops on, pop them into the freezer. We know what to do from here, right?
Yes.
So we hope that these yummy cherry popsicles remind you to work hard and persevere and wait for a meaningful reward or outcomes. Hopefully it will be as precious and sweet as these cherries. Have a great week, everyone.